Okay, I think this all goes together. You know how it says all over the place about, like, they go to war and then they lived however many years and then they died. And then they go right back to worshiping Baal. Like, it says it all over the Bible, because I feel like they've taken me to quite a few stories where it's more or less that dynamic. You know, whatever, war, meaning argument, knocks the other one's confidence down, takes over, is the stronger one now, meaning mentally, like, and then when that person dies, right, somebody else becomes king, somebody else is stronger mentally, takes over, people go back to their old ways, they go back to worshiping things that don't honor them, because nobody ever taught them to heal during this time. It's like the person who was in charge just said these are the rules, but then, like, they're not understanding. They're just not understanding. So then they're all just falling suit to you know, all the numbing devices. And then when you tell people it's bad, you can't have those numbing devices. And it's like, well, it's not actually the numbing device that's bad. It's the use of it, the intention behind it, to ignore your pain, to cover it up. That's why it's bad, right? It's like, it's abuse of it because you're trying to cover up pain. It's like alcohol. Like, it's abusing the alcohol because you're trying to cover up the pain. The alcohol's not bad. You can have some alcohol. It's not what it means. It's like people don't know how to have a glass of alcohol. They don't know. Like, most people who are utilizing it with the intention to cover it up don't have just one glass. They become raging alcoholics. And so so I thought that was interesting that they always go back to, I think they say Baal, or, you know, meaning Satan, the devil, whatever. Just meaning they're not honoring themselves. It's like they learned nothing. But it's like, well, no, they didn't learn anything because nobody taught them anything. It was like the one who was in charge might have learned directly, but wasn't sharing that wisdom. They were just giving rules. Well, giving rules doesn't help people understand. And if they don't understand, they don't know why they would follow those rules. They just think they think you're being mean. They think you're restricting them or limiting them as if you're preventing them from that pleasure. And it's like, no, that's not what that's about at all. But it's like they didn't understand that. So because they weren't healed or healing while they were, quote, awake, online, connected, then when they die, fall asleep, go back offline or disconnected, they fall right back into the old patterns, which is what it's like for all of us on automatic pilot, right? So when you fall back asleep. So if you are not, when you're connected, looking to feel better and looking to understand yourself, to get to know yourself, to connect to yourself, to understand why you're not connected to yourself, what you're running from, what you're afraid of, what your fears are, what you're hiding, if you're not doing that kind of work, shadow work, however you want to call it, then when you're really disconnected again, you're fucked because you're just going back and creating more karma. So we've talked about it in those ways so many times, right? Well, then you've also heard me say so many times where I'm like, it's not a test, but fuck, it sure feels like it, right? Like, I'm like, that's the best use of that word, because it's like it's the only way I can explain how they've put me in positions where I'm like, I really feel like I'm being tested. Well, I've had a few of those again lately, and I say to them every time, because when I'm being tested, I feel like I'm disconnected. I've said to them, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you've brought me this far, and then, like, where'd you go? Like, I don't understand how I'm confused right now. Like, I feel like I'm in a test. But I'm not getting clarity. I'm like, I don't want to make a move because I'm not clear. I don't feel connected. I don't, whatever. And it's kind of like, that same idea, that same principle that's in the Bible. It's like it's updated or upgraded to the here and now. Like, yeah, now we've learned. We no longer just let people like stay awake, in that when you fall back asleep, if you didn't do the healing while you were awake, you fall back to all those old patterns. So you learned nothing. You didn't heal. You didn't integrate it. And so it's like, it is like a way of testing where they, quote, unplug you, but they're standing right there. But they unplug you to be like, all right, what are you going to do? Here's the test. You're not connected. You're dead asleep. And are you dead asleep, or are you connected enough, awake enough, aware enough, integrated enough that you recognize the state you're in and what to do, how to move, how to get back to you? And that was just like the clearest way they had shown me that example of what occurs. And you can say it in many different ways, right? Like we've talked about it, where you don't ever want to move from fear, or you don't ever want to react from fear, or you don't want to ever like go do things when you're in, and I shouldn't just say fear, but I just mean like any lower energies, right? Like anytime you have any like negative energies, right? Anything that's anger, rage, fearful, just lower, you know what I mean, all that guck, then you just need to sit down and figure yourself out. And then when you're back to neutral and above, you go from there. But that also takes time and practice, right? Because there's some people who are just lickety-split, knee-jerk. There is no waiting period, there's no second, there's no nothing, right? So they have to slow down and train themselves more and more and more. And so depending on, I guess, it's like how deep in the well you are, how asleep you are, how hurt you've been, how long you've covered it up, like many of ways you can say the same thing, is going to determine, and that's not even true. I was going to say it'll determine how quickly you're able to heal, but that's not true. Some people can be really deep in the well, but once they get the right understanding and can see clearly and have the heart, the desire, the wanting to feel good and to really release it all, they can move through quickly, even quicker than somebody who's not even that far in the well, but doesn't have the desire to get out of the well. So that's not, so it just depends. There's something else that I just said that reminded me of something else. What was it? I don't know. I think I said it earlier. It can be perceived when you're not healing. When you're not healing and you don't recognize what you're doing, and you don't acknowledge the automatic pilots that are being shooting off all over the place, like you are just a robot the majority of the time. If you don't wake up all those machines so that you're now alive and on, and you're no longer that automatic robot, you end up, it can almost feel like cruel or mean that you're resisting what you want, because you're just fooling yourself that that's what you want. You just want to numb out the pain, but that's just so automatic that that's your go-to. The second you hear the slightest whisper in the back of your head, or you feel the slightest uncomfortable feeling, or there's anything, it's like the knee-jerk reaction to grab for that device and up the ante each time, which is why people get really sick, because they're not listening to themselves, they're not loving themselves, they're numbing out themselves, ignoring themselves and covering it up. Meanwhile, their inner child's screaming, hello? What the fuck? Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. You can now purchase an audio journey with me using the link below.